motion. If you get the notion, you can't stop the groove, 'cause you just won't move. Got my sunroof down, got my diamond in the back. Put on the second wheel, woman, if you know like. Yes, shame, shame, shame. Much shame we all should have for being alive, for being human beings, for having any inadequacies, complaints, all that good stuff. Hey, it's Rockin' Larry Lockin', of course, with the Larry Lockin' One channel. Got a few things I just wanted to cover real quick. I don't usually go live by myself too much, but I've got it pretty much down what I need to say. I'm gonna get it, hit it, lit it, and I'll be done with it, I hope. One thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about was all these guides that have contacted me over the years, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming, and I'm very grateful for all of them, what they've brought into my life. But people, I've got like 5 of them on reserve I've never even talked to yet, and I'm going to go through them. But I'm also going to, after that, I'm going to touch real quick on all these social media platforms. I have them because I use them for a particular reason. I don't really care for many of them for social reasons, maybe a couple. And that's it. Yeah. And I'll go, I'll talk about what it's like having all those now, and, what it was like when I first started doing this kind of thing and how many there were. Yeah, it's quite a different world, but I'll get into that, what I like about some of them, what I don't like, the few things that each one of them could do, or the couple things to really improve where they are and what they do. So just from my little convoluted opinion. And then if we have time, I might talk a little bit about the Blu-rays, possibly talk a little bit about the Blu-rays. If not, I'll dedicate another show to that. It's something I'm so familiar with that I just take it for granted. But every once in a while, it's kind of one of them things that needs to be reminded of people who they were, who the Indigo Children were, the Crystal Children, the Rainbow Children, and the difference between that and what star race you're from. Because each one of those has, people from every star race in it. It has to really do with... It does, linear time is only an illusion that exists here in third and fourth density, but we use it to gauge things. So generally you fit in you were born or incarnated here during a certain time frame during that, okay? But not always. I've met people that were Blu-rays that were born 15 years after the fact of when the last one started to be born. I've met Indigo Children that were born probably, 8 years before the minimum of what, your stereotypical one was born in. But these guides that just won't stop coming, and like I've mentioned before I get into it, these guides have asked me to make sure that I let people know. Some of them have, and I'm sure they're all cool with it. See if other people will channel them that I know, or that have come across my awareness, or I've come across their awareness. So, man, I had to do a list just in case I forgot one of them. So here we go. So it starts off like this, okay? So when I first started having my ET contacts, starting in December, actually it's this month, on the 28th, it'll be 14 years. It was with 2 ships, okay? One was called the Athabantian and one was called the Athena. And I never did see what the inhabitants of these looked like. They never gave me a visual in my mind. It was just a ship out of the 5th dimension, and they were forthcoming with me what I wanted to know at that time and what I needed to know. So, okay, fine. They were gone after about 6 months. Then for 6 months, I had this group called Larkma. Now, there is a famous couple that channels Larkma, okay? Pia Orlean and Colin Baird Smith, okay? They're out of Ashland, Oregon, and Shasta, California. I'm not sure if they still flip between both of them, but I don't live too far from them up the Oregon coast. Anyway, so it was them for 6 months. They were like these plasma-looking beings that would smile, have faces. They looked like water moving together. The 6 of them would move together, and they were like a collective of 6, one of 6. They were from 6th density in the Pleiades. Well, that's who they vibrated with. They were ancient beyond our galaxy. They were from another place outside of our galaxy, which I didn't really know that till later, till I was listening to Pia talk about that part. I didn't know. Look, by the time I got settled in with some guides, it was these orbs that came from the 7th dimension, who are now in the 8th dimension. Everybody's ascending. So they were the Rainbow Orb Collective out of the Pleiades, mostly. It's a fleet of orb ships, okay? And then there's a big-ass rainbow one that's the head ship. And it's a mixture of all the solid colors. So about 90% of their crews are Pleiadian. Okay, there's some Syrians in there, a couple Lyrans, and there's like one Arcturian per ship. Okay, so they're out there. I've channeled them the most because they've been my main guides. They were with me physically and visibly in every way for since 2011, almost 12 till end of summer 18, and I still deal with them often. But I mean, I'm talking about visually around me. No matter where I was, in the light, even in the dark, I could see them floating around in sparkling colors. Okay, it was really surreal and weird. Okay, just to mention some of the other ones so I don't get off on a tangent because I will talk forever on one thing. So also, okay, there's two out of Arcturus that I've contacted. 12th dimension, the Arcturian translucent realm colors. Okay, now they are a group of colors that are responsible for helping ascending planets just getting started. They bring in, they help with the landscape of their nature, what it might look like, what kind of colors might be where to fit the vibration for that planet at the time. Yeah, they're called the Nifty Nine. There's 9 of them. So you've got the primary colors of red, blue, yellow, and of course white, which is kind of like the captain color of is my understanding of the bunch. Okay, these are solid colors. Okay, solid and crystalline colors. Okay, so besides those 4, you have each one of them have an offshot with each other. For instance, there's a purple because of red and blue. There's a yellow because of green and blue. I mean, a green because of yellow and blue, right? There's an orange because of yellow and red. All right, and white with red has a pink, and white with blue there's a teal. However, the weird thing about it is, and I guess it makes sense though, is that the yellow and the white do not have an offspring together. There's not, each one of them, they don't have one together. So there's not that connection, or else it would be the terrible 10 or something like that. They are able to also mix together to create new translucent, bright neon type colors when necessary. And that's kind of their main thing, really. They've ascended past a colored orb or a colored ray. They're just a solid translucent color that's kind of crystalline in body, if you can imagine. And they really don't, it's weird with them, I don't really get the impression of a masculine or a feminine with them. They're kind of just like a neutral. They're kind of neutral, okay, as far as any kind of labeling them with any kind of a sexual gender identification. The crystal blue angels out of the 13th dimension, now that they are completely a feminine energy, a really strong mother feminine energy. Okay, they're an individual collective as well. They're very wise, they're brilliant, they're fun-loving, they're a little bit more, it seems like they're a little bit more fun-loving than a lot of Arcturian guides are, because Arcturians are pretty serious, because that's what the level they're ascended at. They've got a great sense of humor. They just, I mean, it's most shit that's funny to us, or to even the Pleiadians, is below them, and they don't quite, they just kind of look at you like you just were trying to tell a calculus professor what 2 + 2 is. Okay, so those two I kind of act a little bit different around. They're Arcturian. But just to name a few, I mean, and here I'll go through the ones that I've actually channeled at least a time or two before, and then I'll go into the ones I haven't yet, but that I know are out there. Okay, so for instance, you've got the little blue guru. I really dig him. The way he came to me was really strange. I needed some help with writing a meditation, and I've been joking around that I was going to get myself a guru when I win the lottery and have him live in with me. And man, I would screw with my friends. They'd come over. They'd ask me any question they want to ask me. I'd say, well, I got to ask my guru. Hold on. And then, I would tell them to watch what they said, because I wouldn't want them to offend my guru. They upset him the last time they were over, and I couldn't get him to stop doing telekinesis for like 24 hours straight, or I think several weeks straight is what I was going to say. But, just to mess with people. But it'd be cool to have somebody like that was, an advisor, or spiritual kind of person, not trying to run your life, but there for you if when you needed questions and advisement under shit, and spent his time studying and getting more and more with the oneness of all that isness, what I'm saying? So there's him. There's this one weird dude who just showed up not too long ago. This is the latest one, the Blue Rider. And it's strange. I feel like a real deep, deep, deep connection with that dude, and I don't know why, because I know the least about him. I'm not even sure what star system he hails from. I've channeled him once. Yeah, but it goes on. The blue dog wants to. I won't really talk with him again. It's until I am over a few things with my animals that have gone. The blue dragon, yes, from Pleiades, of course. Him several times. The blue flame goddess from Pleiades. The violet flame goddess from Pleiades. Now understand, and then there's a yellow one too. Okay, her name is, the yellow one's name is Sifrase. Sifrase. Okay, I'm going to talk to her once. Pashana is the violet flame goddess, and her big sister actually is the blue flame goddess, and her name is Vibrance. Okay, a lot of these girls know each other from up there in the Pleiades. It's really weird how this thing's starting to unfold for me, but I've talked about that in other shows. I'm going to not get off onto that part. Okay, so besides them, and I mentioned Sifros, the yellow flame goddess. Oh, I do want to mention, by the way, though, up there is not the, it's a. You go to school for that kind of stuff in the Pleiades, where they're from. You earn it. It's like earning, your associate, your bachelor's, your master's, your PhD, and so forth, right? That's the highest rank you can be is a goddess. Okay, they have angel ranks below that, 1, 2, 3, like angel rank and different things of that nature. But they go to school for all this high-tech stuff, like, cosmic Reiki we couldn't understand, weird, trippy kinds of telekinesis we don't have a fathom clue yet, how to learn about other civilizations through dream and meditative states, all kinds of really cool shit. They're born pretty much knowing the educational part that, we think we know, like trigonometry, geometry, that stuff kind of comes natural to them. They're born with knowing how to solve those things. Okay, here's another one. Elantris. It's spelled like Antares, but she's got an EL at the front. Okay, she is the Pleiadian fairy goddess mother. Fairy goddess, excuse me. She doesn't use the word mother in hers. Okay, and she's been to school for that too. Okay, because the Pleiadians are really big in elementals. Had a contact with her. That's Elantris. Okay, this one dude from Procyon named Valance. They have an orb ship that's purple and green on the superficialness of it, half and half. It's like a traveling community. He showed me a glimpse in there one day. It's a neighborhood of about 4,000 total people, actually. 2,000 to 4,000, 1,000 or 2,000 each side. I forget. I'm gonna have to ask him again. I've had contact with him and his ship. The ship will blink. If you see it blink at night, it looks like it's blinking a dark blue indigo kind of a blink. I don't know. It's probably a mixture of the purple and the green. All right. And you can type questions if you have any questions for me on this, or you can hit me up later. You can message me on Facebook if you want to know any more about these entities. But we're not even done. Not even really begun yet. Okay. So not only that, we've also got. Well, I mentioned Valance, and by the way, he's not the ship captain of that ship. The ship is called the Purine Ambassador Orb, the Procyon Ambassador Orb ship, Purine, purple and green, haha. He is the head of it, but he is what he likes me to call him, the residential care coordinator or something. It's an ambassador ship. They're not like a military type thing. It's like a traveling, floating little, community. Yeah, it's really strange, but not surprising. Biodome type stuff, I'm sure. The Sirius B Dolphin Collective. Okay, yes, I have in a way contacted them, but not the two of them by themselves. The two of them are in a collective I have too called the Aqua-Rays, which we're going to get into next. Who the Aqua-Rays are? The Aqua-Rays I've been channeling for years and years as well too. I've probably only got about 8 of my sessions with them on audio though. All right, they are, yeah, they're a little bit different. They're the only collective I've ever had that's actually changed members, like had some members change. They had 2 of the translucent realm colors. They had the solid blue and they had the green. And those 2 ascended right from 8th to 12th dimension and went to the translucent realm colors. The same souls that back those 2 energies. They're not there anymore. So now in the Aqua-Ray Collective, it's those dolphins, the blue dragon every now and then. And there's a team of 3 souls from Mintonkan, 2 ladies and a male, 2 males and a lady from Sirius. And then, of course, from Pleiades, there's Two ladies and a male. So that's 9, 10, 11. There's like 12 entities on there on the Aqua-Rays, okay? And they've changed a bit over the years. The Aqua-Ray Collective is pretty cool as well. They told me that other kinds of rays were going to be coming here that weren't solid colors. There was going to be like a fuchsia ray and maybe a periwinkle ray, and you take stuff with a grain of salt though when you hear it like that. So okay, so the latest one I've had, besides the Blue Rider, I mean the one, and these guys I've had several contacts with, so these guys are out of the Pleiades' new 12th dimension. See, other places have ascended too. Pleiades was mainly a 5 through 11 place. Now it's got a 12th dimension. The Plasma Lightning Collective. Yes, they are both plasma beings and they are lightning beings, but the lightning is also made of plasma. That makes any sense? So it's both. It's both plasma lightning and it's plasma and lightning. I know, it's really weird. It is fucking weird when you think about this stuff. Okay, and then we're going to start getting into the ones that I have never had any contact with. I forgot to mention the first one I ever had contact with as far as those Pleiadian girls go, the goddesses and stuff. She's not a goddess, though, but she went to school with them up there. Her name is Fusacia. I've only had 2 Pleiadian contacts in my dreams ever, out of about the 500 I've had. Only 2 were in dreams. 3 were in trance, where I was in deep, deep trance and didn't know what was going on, but never had one in a dream until several months back. And then I had 2 in 2 separate nights, one with a pink collective of Pleiadians and one with the purple. Purple one's a little hazy. The pink one I remember very vividly, and exactly our conversation I had with the lady. Well, I didn't know it till I did a channeling with her later on. Her name is Fusacia. She's got her own personality. She was explaining to me when I went up there how they knew about us, how she knew about us since she was a little girl, by being in touch with dreams and being able to put the thought out there to look for other humans like her, or that were humanoids out in the galaxy, and she ran across Earth, and but I've talked about that before, and that's all out there if anybody wants to know. But these guides, the last ones I'm going to go into, though, real quick, are ones that I've never channeled before. Okay, let's see. So, now I got to take a step back. The first 2 I'm going to mention I've channeled once. I've just never done it on audio or recorded it. There's a rainbow Pleiadian human race, just like with all the other colors, which I mentioned in another show. They're rainbow skin. Their color is rainbow skin, and it especially starts to show as they get a little bit older, like not quite middle-aged, but almost. When they're younger, it's mainly just a glow on the outside of their bodies. Okay, her name is Radiance, okay? Haven't channeled her except for just, she was telling me about who her people were. That's it. Other than that, I haven't had a contact with her yet, and one that I would put on audio. The other one is a pure white light type of a goddess-looking figure. Her name, she goes by, oddly enough, Divinity is what she told me to call her. But she's like a white light, white flame goddess. Okay, so had brief with them. Now, these ones I know exist because I've been told by my guides, but I've never talked to them yet. Okay, there is one more in that group of ladies I was talking about. Her name is Ashina. She's in the 7th dimension of Venus. She's a Venusian Pleiadian, and she is a admiral of a fleet of their, protective forces. Kind of like we'd have a navy here. Okay, so I don't know anything about her at all. Just I've been told by her, by the other girls, told about her. Don't know anything about her, so can't really say. Oh, I forgot one I'd had contact with too, the blue orb goddess. Of course, the only guide that's ever kind of jumped my ass while in the middle of the channel while talking on air. Saying I wasn't keeping up quick enough. But she's cool, it's fine. The blues are another one. The blues are ones I've known about for years and years and years and years, but I've never made contact with them before. They are a race of distant ancestors of the Greys that defected to Pleiades, okay? They have evolved to look a little bit more human than gray, but they're really kind of a vibrant blue, and they do look like they're related to the Greys somewhat, but, probably a lot better looking. A little tiny bit shorter than the Greys, too. maybe just a half a head size smaller than the shorter ones even. Okay, so they're the blues. Haven't had any contact with them yet. Haven't made the initiative to either. Yeah, now they tell me also that there's, because this Elantris I've talked to, she's deals with their fairy realms and stuff like that, but there's also in elementals, Pleiadian elementals, and they're called Pleiadian elemental and fairy realms. She's the only one I've ever talked to. I've not talked to any of their wisps, their sprites, their things that make up the other elementals part of it, their gnomes, whatever. Have not yet, nope. But they exist. Okay, so besides them, yeah, I think that is about it, unless I'm forgetting something, okay? They all exist. Oh, the Pleiadian animal kingdoms, like wolves, tigers, things like that, spirits from our Native American kind of, the animal spirits, they have a collective like that too. Okay, there's also the tree realms from Pleiades, okay? They're great too to deal with. I know I've channeled them a few times. They can be a little weird, their energy. And you've got to be careful, because all tree beings aren't exactly the kind of beings that you'd want to know. They're not the only ones in the woods, if you know what I mean. So you got to be careful and use some discernment there. But any of these you're able to channel. I mean, if you have never channeled anybody, put your intention out towards one of them, whether it's, we want somebody out of Arcturus, those two I mentioned, the translucent color realms out of 12D, or the crystal blue angels out of 13, or the plasma lightning dudes out of 12. Aqua-Rays out of the 9th. They were first in the 8th when I had contact with them, just like with the orbs. They were in 7D, now they're in 8D. And that's not, orbs go up all the way. There are orb collectives in the 9th, definitely. Like these lemon orbs that might be coming my way, possibly. So hopefully one day the inbox will slow down with them, and it will all be for a purpose. But, these are different extraterrestrials that I've had contact with, and most of them are pretty thorough about where they're from, what planet. I don't ask a lot of questions is this thing. I'm not that inquisitive about the shit that I probably should be, and then I've had a habit before of asking them dumb questions just to think I was being funny. So I don't really ask them individual names. I know they're collective, I know where they're from, and that's about all I need to know. I don't need to know that they're from Tegeta or Alcyone or Merope or Caliano, or wherever, Atlas, Pleione, Maya, Astrope, Merope. I think I've got them all now. Just about Electra, okay. And then what planets. I know some of the names of the planets in there too, but, and how they live and all that. So I got a general idea. I really don't need to know that, but some of them have been forthcoming and told me what their individual names were. I'm sure they all would if I asked, but it's too much to remember. Or, it's too much to let my mind go there with, because it's really not relevant. I'd be like this idiot I knew one time. He's not an idiot. I used to do shows with him. I loved the guy, but he had his issues. He was always thought it was gonna be real funny to go up to Bashar when Bashar has those open night meetings places and gives readings, and sit there and bring in a trigonometry question and try to ask Bashar to solve it. It would be kind of funny though, wouldn't it? Yeah, especially if Bashar could sit there and rattle with his fingers touching, rattle off the answers like it's no thing. Now that would be really something. Okay, now on to an annoying note. How about all these social media platforms, people? I mean, you name it. Look, I'm just going to give you an instance of what I have. Okay, I have Instagram, Telegram, Telephone, Telefriend, Tell-A-Lie. That's a joke, kind of, like Telegram and Instagram. Snapchat, WeChat, UChat, Quora. There's another one I found, Quora. That seems okay. Reddit, Shreddit, Threadit, HeChat, Scoop, Skype, Spotify, SoundCloud, Pinterest, Little Interest, Disinterest, maybe, Tumblr, Stumbler, Fumbler, X, now Twitter. And then there's also Twitch, Twist, Twirl, Tweaker, Lemon8, Linktree, Lincoln, Blue Sky, Gray Sky, Threads, Creds, all the above equal one big dread. Okay, so let me just slow that down for you guys, really. So basically what they are is they're Instagram, Telegram, TikTok, Snapchat, WeChat, Quora, Reddit, Spotify, SoundCloud. There's Lincoln, there's Skype, there's Pinterest, which I have some interest. I was exaggerating with a little interest. Tumblr, X is now Twitter, and there is Twitch. Twitch I have a problem with big time. Twist, Twirl, Tweaker, no. Lemonade, Linktree, Lincoln, Blue Sky, Gray Sky, Threads. So, and all these do different things, as you know. Some of them are more alike than others. You take Blue Sky and Threads, they're a lot alike. I'm trying to think of what the difference is between those two. Man, I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot of difference between those two, really. They're about the same. You can't really do anything but do like a 1-minute upload from there of a video. You can share a link there, both of them, which is cool. You can't do that on Lemon8. Lemon8's like them, but with Lemon8, you can't share a link that's, you don't have on your timeline, you can't put a link to something like a show or anything like that. You can only upload something that's a minute or less. And the number of characters are about the same you can use for those three as far as anything that you would want to type or respond to with a comment. But yeah, Threads is an offshoot of Instagram. If you have Instagram, you've got Threads. Blue Sky, Blue Sky I get a good vibration from. It's one of the only ones that I actually get an okay, like it's, hey, it's not completely, or it's not, a little suspect. Of course, everything is, and it is too, but Blue Sky seems like a little bit higher of vibration than Twitter, and some of them are, like WeChat's kind of sketchy. Telegram's really strange too. I had a hell of a time getting on there, and I had some bad energies from it, but I tried every now and then, it went through, so I use it for that. I don't use it to associate with people though. Threads is okay. Threads is kind of right in the middle. It's kind of, it's okay. It's probably more good than bad feeling, but it's just kind of whatever. Lemonade has a really strangeness to it, though, too. Lemonade is, I want to like it because I like lemons, I really, really do. But, that's a weird reason, huh? But there's just something odd about it. I feel like it's a front for something, or either either I don't get out enough anymore and have long since not gotten out, and just don't know how people are anymore, or what it is. But it seems like to me, I'm not even sure, I almost am not even sure if half those people are real that are on there. And the comments, and the reason I think that is because a lot of times I'll look for algorithms in what people say. Like, Lemon8, and I've noticed this on Threads too, and it'll always be some woman who's posting this, and I'm not saying anything against a woman or anything, that's not what I mean, big woman's advocate, but it's some lady that's always saying either, I friend request everybody, and nobody ever comments on my stuff, or nobody's a friend of mine, or nobody wants to be my friend. It's some words like that that are exactly the same, and I see it time and time again, and it's always somebody who's got, there's probably 100, 150 people that have liked it, because obviously it's a nice looking young lady, or what some people might think is, or, there's a lot of weirdos and creeps out there, so of course, either way, right? And so I don't know what they're getting at by doing that. And another thing is, it's really, that could just be self-confidence, but not as much as I see it and worded that way. And the other one is this, it'll use a different day, but it'll say like, I've been sober 36 days but nobody cares. Or I've been sober for 55 days, but nobody cares. I've been sober. You know what I mean? You see it once, twice, you may feel like it's somebody who's proud of themselves and nobody's really encouraged them or anything, and whatever, okay, that's cool. Give them a hearts up or whatever. But then when it's worded the same goddamn way several times, it's just kind of strange. It's really, I wonder why that would be. It's weird. So I don't know what it is with Lemon8. People then will go down the rabbit hole of some of these as though they're like front organizations for trafficking, and maybe, well, I'm sure that's with it goes on in some sly way with everything. But, yeah, and what I don't really get to about a lot of them is why it seems to me like the shittiest among them is like 3 issues away from solving to being a pretty good, effective social media platform. Like, either they need to start allowing people to type more words in a comment or more words in a post, That's one that they could do. They could make the timeline and newsfeed a little bit more user-friendly, maybe even have an alternative one that's like Facebook's. And let people go live for an hour or so. What's that going to hurt to let them upload something like that? Let them do all three of those things. I mean, I can't imagine that, maybe it's a bandwidth thing. I don't know. But I can't imagine the money's not there and why one of them doesn't do it. See, Facebook is still the biggest game in town. It's the most essential one as far as I'm concerned, because you can do all that shit with it. You can go live with it. You can upload with it. They have a character limit, believe me, and I found it. How many you could type in a reply or whatever, and people that know me would know that and be chuckling right now. But other than, they don't really, though. I mean, I'm the only one that's ever had to run up against it, and it hasn't been often. They don't have anything really like that. Their problem is, their problems are stemming from sometimes they rush to judgment to cover their ass. They put people in, what they call Facebook jail too easily, and they kind of cherry pick who they do it with. But with that many people, it's kind of hard, I guess, not to seem like you're doing it that way. I don't know. They're the top game in town as far as social media goes. And it would take them wanting not to be to ever get that to stop until we just figure out a different way to do things, like speak telepathically to each other completely. They cornered the market. They got in there second. MySpace was first. MySpace had about 3 issues they needed to fix, and I remember it well. Facebook came right in a couple years after they came in, and they hit it good, and they were the second game in town, but got in quick enough to where they could have something a little bit more exciting and flashy, and they could start swallowing up everybody. They went from, I think they tried to more portray an image that it was a family kind of a thing instead of like a MySpace kind of a hip, cool, teeny bopper in your 20s kind of a thing. So there was that, and yeah, and they fixed a few issues that MySpace had, and I knew right then, I said this in 2008, I'm like, man, there's nobody gonna touch them until the format completely changes of how we do things, unless they really want to try to go out of business. Because, and they've done some fucked up things since. They've changed the way pages work. Man, I hate that when I came back after quitting this stuff for 5 years, broadcasting and all that, I was surprised that with the Facebook pages, and I've got several of them, excuse me, you have to log into that page to then comment as that page. Now, what it took me a while to even longer to figure out is your mail. Like somebody messages one of those pages, it doesn't go directly to your regular messages anymore, like to your name. It doesn't do that. It used to do that. All the shit would go right to you if you were the owner of that page, right? The only thing you'd have to adjust is if, say, you wanted to go onto that page and comment has your own name, you'd have to then do a couple things to have that happen, or click a button, but now you have to log out, then log into that, and log out of that, log back into, it's just a matter of a few clicks, but it's annoying. I would have thought if anything they would have done it, and it's had to be the reverse. It started off this way, and they found a way to fix that. Yeah, and it used to be too, when you were sharing from a page, it would show you right there in a box who you just sent it to, how many people you just, how many people so far, and what pages and groups so far you've sent it to. Why is that important? If you're batch and mass trying to share stuff on there, like from a show, or you've got an organization, or whatever it is you may be trying to do, right? You can keep track of it like that. Now they don't have that option really anymore. So they're all like these necessary evils. I remember when I was first doing shows on N5D, they were on Blog Talk Radio on N5D. That was a whole other thing. But usually if you were independent, it was off of YouTube, like it is now, right? Okay, but the only options really you had then yet were to post it to, that was of any relevance, was Twitter and was Facebook. And Twitter was just starting to really come in. But Facebook you couldn't go live on yet. It took a few years before they had that. And Twitter, I think you might have been able to, but we didn't look at Twitter as far as anything like that, just somewhere to throw the quick link at, be done with it. Because we looked at Twitter at first as some middle-aged to older guy thing where they just traded one-liners back and forth to each other, like a quick tweet on something, a quick take. And that's the way we looked at it. So there wasn't You know, and then the barrage of them started. You know, well, I guess we had Google Plus too, but that was in a subsidiary of YouTube. Um, but before, you know, this was before Instagram and TikTok and all these different places came out. And so it's crazy. I'd be curious to know like which ones people prefer and why. Like if I notice there's people that are stuck in a mode where they just like Threads or they just like Blue Sky, right? Or whatever the case may be, Snapchat. I mean, I don't really dig Snapchat too much, or WeChat, Telegram. They're kind of, I don't know. You know, everybody's got their own opinion. I like Tumblr, sort of. I like Reddit. I don't like Twitch because I'll tell you why. I have messed with my adjustments so many times. I have done shows from there live and I can't get any of them to tape, and there's no reason why not. It'll show that it did for a second, then it's gone. Plus, you can't upload anything to Twitch. That's kind of the pain in the ass about them. So it just all depends, you know, and I'm thinking about it purely from a using them standpoint, not what do I like about just enjoying for relaxation or whatever, because it's really not my idea of what I would enjoy for relaxation. And, you know, a couple of them are, but, you know, I'm already self-invested, interested in those and have been for years. So, you know, it's not important enough for me to where I'm going to change my game up with it and which one I prefer. Unless one's going to directly link right into my brain and go telepathy on me. You know, so I'd just be curious. Oh, somebody has a comment. Is this a good book? Yeah, oh, yeah. I'm glad you asked. Hey, thank you. Bless you soul for asking. Yes. Yes, it is a book, good book, and it's worth it. I mean, look, there's a difference. I can do commercials, okay? I have. And there's a difference when I'm selling something in a commercial or I'm trying to really tell people that it's a good book to get. Yes, it's better than Bringers of the Dawn. It's better than Chariots of the Gods. I'm telling you, it's that revolutionary of a book. And here's the crazy thing with that book. It's almost as easy to read as, man, I hate even telling those two that, which I have, but it's almost as easy to read as a Dr. Seuss book, but please don't get that misconstrued. It has as much information out of it that you're going to gain than any book that's ever been written in our genre. I swear, I promise you. These two are super conscious, very brilliant. They're going to write a couple more books together. I'm sure that's if they can find the time, because they both, I know one of them does have another book, has book deals. One of them has book deals in the works to write children's books. Okay, Francesca and David, whenever he decides, it's on his time. I mean, they've got enough, both of them now, or if they were to quit getting any more consciousness come to them and they drew a blank starting tomorrow morning, they've got enough for several more books each and several together. No, it's a good book. It really is worth it. I mean, it's worth the $45. It's worth people going in on to get if they have to. I think you can get it on Kindle for like 20. No, it's worth it. And I know a lot of people aren't really big book readers anymore, but yeah, it's pretty revolutionary, I would say, and I'm downplaying it, actually. You know, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's an easy read, and it's like getting all the information out of if you were a biblical scholar, it'd be like getting everything you could ever want and need and learn how to glean from the Bible in something that was small and as easy to read as a couple of Dr. Seuss books. It's that, the pictures with the words, with everything, just, you know, and their editor was great too. They had a really wonderful editor. I listened to the three of them talk one night, and it was just a flow of consciousness going. Yeah, the book is worth it. I'm glad you mentioned it, because, yeah, if you don't know who the two of them are, check them out on Facebook. Really, I mean, it won't take you, believe me, it won't take you long for you to pick up on the greatness. And I'm not somebody that brags about other people. I really don't. That ain't me. I don't believe in heroes. I don't believe in idols. I don't really. If I have a mentor and or a guide, I talk to them like I would anybody else. Give them shit even sometimes. Or the very few people that I never have and would are people that have that. It's just because their respect level for me is just so immense, you know. But yet I wouldn't be blinded. I wouldn't go jump off a bridge if one of them, like Eric Von Daniken, writer of Chariots of the Gods, if he told me to, I know I wouldn't. But yeah, I might give him a bow or two if he came around. Yeah, it's Call him sir. Yeah, absolutely. But no, these two are incredible, and the book is worth it. Yeah, it will. Even for the most intelligent, cosmic, awoken person, it will remind you of a couple things, and it'll sure as hell give you a better way to articulate things. I mean, so much so that it's easy. It'd be obvious you were plagiarizing something out of there if you started talking about it really in depthly. Like I've thought about doing, taking their book and just said, no, I'm kidding, I haven't. These are my ideas, no. But no, eventually though, one show I will do a book review on it. I've read it all the way through. I'm on my second time through, here off and on. I'd like to have it on audio in case I lose my sight when I'm older. They will probably have it on audio soon. I think they ought to both do. I think they both ought to. Man, I don't know which one of the two would be better to do the audio on it. They both would be wonderful. In this case, I think they each ought to do a version, or one together. But I mean, in one where they each do it on audio separately. Both have wonderful voices. Very, very pleasant to listen to. you know, I don't know. I love David to death, but I'm a dude, and if I had to have it in my ear like 3 times through, and I had to gun to my head to pick which one of them I'd want to do it, probably Francesca. Just softer voice like that. Not that David's isn't. His is fine, but either would be good. But if you had to make me pick, and then that's why. But yeah, it's wonderful. And I knew it would be. See, I already knew from the cover, and I knew from a couple of pictures I'd only seen from it when he was just showing some of the illustrations. I knew that if that's all it was even, it was so incredible the vibe from it I got that I knew that if it was just that and a bunch of blank white pages, it would be one of the top 5 probably New Age books ever written. And believe me, I've read most of them that are of any noteworthy 12th planet. That's a bitch to suffer through. I would suggest to anybody, unless you're a really deep avid reader, and I'm really not, if you're ever going to read The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin about the Nibiru, listen to William Shatner's audio of it. Oh, it's a tough read. I've heard him interviewed. He's a great dude, or was. He passed away. Sitchin did, but very, very methodical and very, very slow and precise. And they needed somebody like him to interpret those tablets. He got about 80% of them down. I think like Eric Von Däniken thinks of Chariots of the Gods, so like he told Sitchin that planet Nibiru is a biodome ship, not just a planet that operates out of a 3,600-year elliptical orbit. But that being said, no, it's a great book. I can't continue to go on and on about it. I know you're probably sorry you asked now if you're still listening. But I forgot about it, and it's funny because it was the first thing I was going to lead in with. So I appreciate you so much for asking. Yeah, no, it's a good one. I mean, the cover is phenomenal. I'm a blue freak. I do blue healing, so I love me some blue roses. Love it. And that's another thing. And that reminds me of another group I forgot to tell you. I channeled the Blue World Order. Yeah, it's true. They're a mixture of all kinds of different blue energies and races. I mean, the blue avians are even on it. Which I had a chance to channel them years and years ago, too. Nobody was yet. Somebody was telling me about them and asked me if I might like to get into doing that with them. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I got other guides going on. And besides, they sound cute and everything, but really, are people ready for a bunch of blue birds? And I don't know. Now I regret it, but it's just kind of a funny story. Yeah, but that's my thing with social media, and it's kind of a necessary evil. It's just, what I'm hoping is, and I'm sure somebody's got this figured out already that distributes stuff, some software you can get that will automatically send it to every single one of those places that it needs to go. Because when you do stuff online and you're trying to get it around like a show, most of the battle is the editing and the wording and then the sending it here, how much of it you can send there, how much of it you can't send there. How, if you can have anything more than just the title before it runs out of room, basically, for letters. You have all those things figured out. But, yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'll talk a little bit about the Blu-rays, actually. Sometimes it helps when I have somebody on with me because it keeps me a little bit more focused and straight and on to what they are. And I used to be able to do this real easy live by myself, like a flow, but now my mind, after I quit for 5 years of doing anything, it just, I don't know, it never came back to me like it did. I mean, I'm not nearly as quick-witted as I was if you listen to, a lot of the shows I have on there that are 10 years old and longer. Yeah, or even, 7, 8 years ago, it's a whole different story. Whole other ball game altogether. But the Blu-rays are just a soul incarnation group. Some of them were okay. The real core group of them were born from probably about 62 to 76, with it stretching back into the mid 50s, and a very few couple rare cases, like right after that Hiroshima and Nagasaki bomb went off a couple years later in 47. Some came down here incarnated then. Then it started picking up about the mid 50s, and then 62 full-fledged to 76, and then on still until even into the early 80s a little bit. So it's kind of, and like I said earlier, different people from different generations are Blu-rays as well. It's just the stereotypical mold if you were teaching it in a class. How you would put it about in an about way. Blu-rays are very sensitive. They've kind of lived through a life where they have gotten to see an ascension go on, not body-wise, but mentally in a sense, from growing up without an internet till even like the last of the Blu-rays like me. It wasn't even available till a year after I was out of high school. And I'm talking, 28K dial-up, pay by the hour, getting kicked off a local server, couldn't do anything for at least another year or more where you could listen to really anything online at all. The Napster came around and stuff because it was too slow until you got up to 56K. Yeah, and even then, man, good luck. You better be audio only. And it took a couple more years for video, really, to the advent of cable. So it wasn't like it was first. And not a lot of common people had them for about a year or two in. Or a couple years in, because I know where I lived, it was by the hour, and you could get kicked off, and you were still charged for that hour off your server. And 28K dial-up, take a minute to load one little page to read. Now, they had something like it before then that I found out later. They had something like it going back to like 92, but it was this package you could get. There was 8 websites, period. They were all bulletin board websites, all 8 of them. That's it. Announcements, whatever, selling stuff, but just 8 of those. 28K dial-up. So nobody who, only some weirdo, and it was spendy, really spendy too. I don't know, over $100 a month then for just that. So, not a lot of people, as you can imagine, had it nor knew about it. My cousin was really spoiled. He was really spoiled. He had, in the mid-1980s, this buddy of his and another cousin of his. Well, he could only play one of them at a time, but they each had modems at their house, so they could play their video. Somehow they were able to, with a phone line, play their video games just against each other. Pretty high-tech stuff for the mid-80s. Not many people had it. But so the Blu-rays lived through a world where their whole world was in their world. That was it. Somebody moved from your school, friend left the job, went on. You never know if you were ever going to hear from them again. Never, because you couldn't look them up on Facebook. You didn't know where they went and then where they might have went after that. Or a friend you became close with in junior high, and then maybe the dad was in the military and they moved. Hell, man, you'd have to really go to great lengths to look them up later on. But now there's Facebook. You don't have that problem as much. Some people completely drop out of society or whatever, sure, but the majority don't. And then I found with the few that I thought had, eventually they pop around. So we lived where it was like that. There was nothing. And I ran into these 2 kids the other night, and I've got the tape. I taped it 1 minute. There was a big wrestling tournament in town. These high school kids were at the store. I was there, and I asked these 2 kids if I could ask them about 3 questions for my podcast. It was about ETs. Whether they believed in them, whether human life came from them, and really cool kids. And hey, brilliant, answered everything I was hoping the way that better than I could have ever dreamed. But the one non-ET question I asked them at first was, what do you guys have lived with the internet your whole life. What do you think it would be like to live in a society like without it? Like, say a friend leaves and, You may never get to hear from them again or know where they went. That was it. Because I was telling them that was how it was when I was in school. And the one kid was like, you know, innocently, he's like, well, probably a better world. Yeah, I think it would be better. You know, I don't know if he was just trying to say that to be cool and respectful. And I just, you know, laughed and said, oh, okay. But I'm thinking to myself, yeah, kid, sure. You can't put the rabbit back in the hat. If you've grown up with something like that, man, you're going to get bored eventually. If it's been a big part of your life and then it was no longer there. You know, maybe if he had never known about it, period. But, you know, that's not the case. But I doubt seriously he would like it taken away from him. You know, text messaging, the convenience of that. No, fuck that. Not even I would. But it was a different world for Blu-ray. So we watched this morphosis into where all of a sudden, instead of just meeting people around your town or your community, having to be a pen pal with somebody, you could meet people all over the goddamn world, which it's enabled me to do. I would have never dreamed to hallucinate, to fathom anything like that before the internet was around, you know? And not even. I couldn't conceive of it. I couldn't even, in fact, I'll tell you, I've talked about this on air, and this is embarrassing. I graduated in 1994 from high school. My dad had a magazine sitting out in the den, which he had like Popular Mechanics, Popular Scientists, Popular this, that, all that shit. Science News magazine. He had them all. So there was this Popular Mechanics or Popular Science magazine out there, and it had a computer on the front of it. It had all this shit shooting out the computer, like, I don't know, advertisements for different stores, fast food places, different corporations, everything you can imagine coming out of there. You know, you got Nike, Bayer, Tylenol, Coca-Cola, Gatorade, whatever the hell, McDonald's, right? Okay, so, and it said coming Super Information Highway, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? So I looked at that magazine cover all summer long, off and on, and it got me. I've been trying to read the article, couldn't understand it. What the hell are they talking about? The Super Information Highway coming? Well, come about the start of the next year, it was there, and, you know, it was open for people that had computers with a modem. They could, you know, get a local server and get online. But I had no clue. I had no idea what it was at all. It was really bizarre. I mean, I had computers for a year in high school. Did okay, but I mean, we had partners, and I had both semesters, a girl named Keisha, who was my partner. She did all the goddamn homework. That must be why she got the A and I got the B. Well, I'm not complaining, you know what I mean? But like our semester project was something like formatting of discs, and these were before the 3.5 hard ones. These were floppies. And so I know with a 3.5 even, it was like 3 clicks to format a goddamn disc. That's it. And I think I don't know how much harder it was with the floppy. She did all the work. But, you know, that was a semester project then. It was basically click, drag, acting like you're sit there and just act like you're clicking and dragging, and that's all you had to do. The teacher was really cool. My parents had him, or my own mom and uncle had this guy. You know, I'd had him before too, and you know, he didn't care. He was just like, whatever, you know. And that's it. It was 45 minutes of just, you know, typing, how are you doing today, or some shit, and that was the class. And you know, click, drag. That's it. So I had no idea. You know, now people had computers then, but they were people that were really into, put it this way, if you had a computer in the 1980s, it was because you were into them. You were into the thought of them, what little they could do. They were very limited by today's standards of what they could do. I mean, Bill Gates thought that a computer would never need any more than 125K. You know, that's not even a tenth of one, that's a little over a tenth of 1 megabyte, which is 1,000th of a gigabyte, which is 1,000th of a terabyte, you know, and so on. Yeah, and look how quickly shit runs out of space now. But, yeah, it wasn't there. It was weird. So that's the Blu-ray thing. Plus, we were more, we kind of have like 1 foot in space and 1 foot, you know, 1 foot in the hole, 1 foot in space, 1 foot getting deeper, one trying to get higher. I mean, we lived more of a, I don't know, like in an era still where it was common to be very sociable. We could see it coming on the horizon. It wasn't going to be much anymore. We watched the change from everybody in the neighborhood having block parties together, that my parents were used to from the 60s and 70s and even 50s. Um, we watched that transformation die down of people because everybody got an Atari. Okay, we were the first ones on the block to have a VCR. Okay, so a bunch of people would come over to our house, we'd rent movies, have movie night, but then they got cheaper and everybody got a VCR. It had been the same thing with the Atari before that, when it was in the Pac-Man days, right? Donkey Kong, all that stuff, Cubert. And then everybody got one, right? And the same thing, well, with the internet, By the time the internet came around, people were already not social like that yet. Or not as much as they were. It had really, the VCR and the Atari and the Super Nintendo had really already taken its toll on that. And if what doesn't apply to you, what I'm saying, then, still a lot of people didn't, but most did by that time. For all kinds of reasons. So we were the first to grow up in a non-traditional, or a very divorce-prone marriages as for parents. Kind of one of the last generations that en masse. I'd say my parents' generation, the World War II generation, was the last generation en masse, like absolutely no getting around it. Holiday dinners together and everybody was there, like not just everybody'd have one, but your certain cousins just did their own thing, these people did their own thing. Where everybody got together and it was a must. It just is what you did, and it kind of started to die down with my parents' generation because they got divorced more and they were single and the economy started going to hell and just a lot of things added into this soup bowl that we have. And so that was the case, so all these things, everything plays a factor into it. And yet I know there's a lot of people out there that their life growing up resembled what your average person's did growing up in the 60s or the 50s or even into the 70s. But not as much. It's dwindled and people are less social. They're more social, but they're less social. As far as your neighbors go and things like that, because there's just it's not really a good or bad thing, it just is. But watching that all go down in front of our very eyes, it's pretty surreal like that. But, yet everything happens over time, but when it's that quick, you kind of see it happening. I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what before the internet. I knew that there was something. Things had gotten real stale, and life was starting to look really kind of weird in about the early 90s. I was looking at it from an overall standpoint. There was the fashion and stuff, but it was like the feelings had been kind of sucked out of things a little bit. And I was like, man, what the hell is going to be next? Something, but I couldn't conceive of it. But then it was the internet, of course, is what I was thinking in my mind. Right? Yeah, so I could have given a shit less about computers before the internet. I figured maybe someday I'd have one to do my taxes on, to do, my bank account spreadsheets on. Sure, okay, maybe. Grocery list. But even still, I just didn't think about it till the net came out. And then, of course, all of a sudden, lo and behold, Larry liked computers. I know, it was a strange world. But Blu-rays are very sensitive. They're very empathic too. They feel things totally. Like when they love somebody, it is forever. It doesn't matter whether it's a partner, a friend, a relative, kid. It does not matter. It's forever. And I know that people will say, well, isn't that with everybody? They still have some love for them. No, that love can never be shaken completely unless, something unspeakable. They murder one of your family members or something really just horrific like that. But any kind of a problem they would have with themselves or issues that they had with deficiencies as a person, now we look above that. Yeah, it gets us burned too. And yet at the same time, when we've had issues, we don't get the same, we've had to learn, we just because we're that way, don't expect other humans to treat you that way or give a fuck. Because one, they don't. Two, most of it is, it's not that they don't give a fuck, they're just not capable consciously of. It's like somebody who gets a dog for, their kid's a dog for Christmas, and then, of course, a lot of people take them right to the pound right away, right? They do that, and it's fucked up, right? And then you realize, though, they just don't have the consciousness to understand it. They don't get it on that level. Everything's a lot more closed in and superficial for them. You know, they don't see it that way, you know, and it took me years to figure that out finally, is that, yeah, they just don't see it that way. It's not that they're these evil, you know, people that just are jerks. Now, there are some that are. Those are very small. I'll get into those another. Those are dirty starseeds. It's another subject, but most of the time, most of the overwhelming percentage of the time, they just don't get it. And, you know, and it's shitty and it sucks. You know, with for us Blu-rays, it's forever with us. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I mean, you know, granted, it takes something pretty atrocious. Whereas other people, you know, they don't see shit that way. You know, Blu-rays, very shy when they're younger. Very shy. Not what you would call outcasts at all. They get along with everybody fine enough. They don't necessarily fit into one area completely, but they get along fine with, probably better than they even realize with, you know, people like them. Really, they do. But, you know, they're really insecure, and then they can have bursts of extrovertedness when they get older, you know, as they get more confident in themselves, and they can kind of go back and forth between the two, right? But, you know, typically when they're younger, they're already, it may take them a little bit extra time to talk completely to. Not much. I mean, you know, on average, maybe an extra, you know, few months than the typical norm of a child development, because they're kind of in telepathic mode still. They're really not completely here in complete physical body till they're about 6. Yeah, which describes other, you know, like some indigos, some rainbows, some crystal children too. Crystal children, if you ever hear them, they're exactly like Blu-rays. Basically, the only difference is crystal children are typically know exactly what they are and how they're different. The Blu-rays, we know we are. We just can't put our fucking finger on it. It seems like a million miles away until we finally know. Crystal children are, you know, they have it figured out that they're different. They're a little more refined version in that way, but other than that, it's the same thing there. Same kind of scenario. That's it. The indigos after the Blu-rays are just a little bit more of a cosmic consciousness. They're more, they can articulate better about things beyond Earth's realm. They can break things down a little bit easier, maybe know a thing or two more, not a lot, but versus, you know, the street smarts of the Blu-rays. You know, I don't know what the Blu-rays had to do coming up. But the Blu-rays were the pioneers for the indigos, basically, and then, you know, that's how you pay it forward. Evolution. You know, the children, my guides tell me the children that'll start to be born here in about the 1940s, too, it'll be amazing by the time they're in their late teens, early 20s. They will be pretty much able to speak completely telepathic. Yeah, it's going to happen that quickly. And look at it, since the kids that started coming in the 90s and so forth, and every 10 years you get a big giant leap. Yeah, it's amazing though. But that's what a Blu-ray is. And typically, if you're from age, say right now, oh man, typically no younger than 45, 46 right now, and up into your stereotypically into your late 60s, but even into your mid 70s with some. Okay, yeah, but there are some that are younger than that are Blu-ray souls. Ran into a couple of them, you know, so maybe one that, you know, he'd be 35 now or whatever, and a couple that are like 40, couple girls that are 43 and 42, and I know they are in that first realm of indigos, but they are Blu-rays. Yeah, so it just depends. It's an energy. There's holdovers and drop-offs, but yeah, Blu-rays are starting to finally appreciate themselves for who they are. You know, it's been a long road, and that's basically what a Blu-ray is. You can get it a lot better. Hey man, I'll tell you what, I'll put it to you this way instead of my bullshit. Why don't you type in something like this? Go to YouTube and type in 10 characteristics that say I'm a Blu-ray, or what, you know, really, you'll get a lot clearer and a quicker answer than I would, and it'll get to the point, especially if you're younger than a Blu-ray age. You'd be like, fuck, this dude takes forever to get around to a point. I do, because I'm old. I don't know how to articulate it well. Believe me, do I wish I could? Yes, I wish I did. I really do. But, and that's one thing I kind of hesitate from doing too, is the 10 character, they'll do the 10 signs that you're this, or the 7 signs that you're that. Man, that's pretty limiting to put it that, but I understand why they do it, though. It's from when I teach about dimensions to people, I only use 5 through the 13th dimension. They're endless, but for a scholastic point of view, I can see why they would say that, the 10 characteristics that you say you're this or that. I used to mock that all the time, but now I get it. I understand. You know what I mean? I've grown up a little bit too, so I know why. And it's usually dead on stuff, so I can't really complain. But if you want to know if you're an indigo, you're a charisma, any of that shit I just mentioned, hey, go type in the 10 signs that show that you are. Same thing with a star system. If you're wondering what star system you're from, and I've gotten that question, I won't say a million, without exaggerating, I've had that question hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of times from newly awakened people over the years. How do they know what star system they're part of? It's a lot of things. What resonates with you, Don't overthink it, though. Don't draw one conclusion and have it just lead to another, because, you know what I mean? If you think you are, it's probably possible you are at least a little bit of, but it's possible you might be others as well. Now, if you straight up know you are, and it hit you, and how it hit you, like with me, you know. Sometimes you know already. You just know, right? And then some you're not sure, and it takes a while for you to ease into that. But if you're in that kind of a boat, make sure that before you've made your mind up completely, you look into a little bit, and you'll know when the time's right. Shit, So that's it. Okay. I hope everybody has a great holiday. I hope it works out. And I hope everybody has a great New Year's. And Rockin' Larry Lockin' social media outlets. That's the page on Facebook to see everything I do. I need to update that page, though. It looks funky. I don't like the format of it. Everywhere, just anywhere you would be on social media, you're going to usually find me at Larry Lockin' Channel, or one word that says that, or having it broken up. Okay, or with it. And there's even one where I have a 1, which is Twitch, Larry Lockin' 1 channel, one word, because those are my 5 YouTube channels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the handle name of what they used to be. So anyway, Rockin' Lockin', much love. Yeah, check out that book, people. Seriously, it's worth it. Yep. Yeah, if you're ever going to buy one. Well, let me put it this way. I can't predict the future. But if you're ever going to buy one that's already been written so far to this time and this now moment history where we're at in our community, yeah, that'd be the one to get. And it's been 3 decades since one's been around, I think, that would even be worthy of putting it on the same shelf with it. So, just me, though. Yeah. Anyway, peace out. Rockin' Lockin', and that is a wrap. Okay.